Welcome to another edition of Our City. A few things going around the city of Elizabeth this week. On Friday, September 11th, beginning at 8:46 a.m., which is the time that the first tower was struck in New York City 14 years ago, I will attend and host the September 11th Remembrance Ceremony, which will commemorate the 14 years since those fateful attacks. Elizabeth residents that perished on that day, there were 6 of them, and they are memorialized in a monument at the Elizabeth train station. The event will be held at Elizabeth September 11th Memorial, which is located at the Midtown Pedestrian Plaza near the train station on West Grand Street. If you have time, please join us on Friday, September 11th. On Sunday, September 13th at 2:00 p.m., which was the subject of part of last week's show, I'm going to join members of the African American community as they kick off and we walk the African American Heritage Parade. It will begin at Union Square in the city of Elizabeth, located on Elizabeth Avenue and High Street. It will commence up Elizabeth Avenue to City Hall on Winfield Scott Plaza. It's a great parade. Come on out and join us. If you need more information concerning these events or any other public events, please call our Public Information Office at 908-820-4124. And after these messages, I'll be joined by Miss Jan Lillian of the YWCA talking about programs that the Y will host during the fall. Please stay with us.
Sometimes you learn by helping others learn. Kane University.
Welcome back to Our City, and I'm pleased to be joined by Miss Janice Lillian, who is the Executive Director of the YWCA in our city. Jan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Pleasure to be here.
So you've been on a few times in the past. Tell us first, 7 years you told me?
Almost 7 years. 7 years at the end of this year.
Where'd the time go?
It's time flies when you're having fun.
That's the truth. That's the truth. So Jan, tell us what's new with the YWCA these days.
Well, it's a very exciting time for us. This is our 95th anniversary this year. We were founded in February of 1920, and so we're celebrating that with some special events. Of course, most of that is directed toward October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And we'll kick off the month with our annual cocktail reception. And as you know, Mayor, we are honoring yourself and the city of Elizabeth. We're also honoring Phillips 66 Bayway Refinery as our corporate partner, and Mary Phillips, their community relations director, as one of our individual honorees. And in addition, we have 10 legacy board members, women who've been on our board 10, 20 years ago, who have stuck with us, continue to be involved in some way. So we're very happy to honor them at this event.
Well, name some of those. I'd be...
So now you're going to...
Yeah, I was just curious.
Well, here in Elizabeth, we have Celia Mantilla and Virginia Bodden,
Sure.
both longtime board members, and Celia was the president for many years. Maria Tsitsaragos is someone who lives out of the area, but she's an attorney in Clark. She continues on a couple of our committees. Terry Estrada, who many people know. Her husband's one of the Union County freeholders, and Terry's the head of the DV unit at the municipal court. She's been on our board and is still active on one of the committees.
Oh, it's good to know, because they work in the trenches, sort of say, and they're unsung heroes.
Absolutely.
So giving them some recognition is a really nice thing that you're doing. So the mission of the YWCA is extremely important, and it serves a great need in our society.
Absolutely. So the mission is eliminating racism and empowering women. And we accomplish that mission through the work we do in domestic violence. We're really here to help women get out of very difficult situations and become strong and self-sufficient and fully independent.
So, Jan, tell me about the Y. I mean, your Y seems to work really hard. So do all the Ys work this hard?
I would say that all the YWCAs work very hard. Because we have a very general mission, each of us addresses the work that we feel is most important in our community. And back in 1978, the board of directors of the YWCA felt that domestic violence was an emerging issue. And that was actually at the beginning of what we think of as the battered women's movement, when a lot of domestic violence shelters were springing up around the country. So at that point, the board decided that the focus was going to be on domestic violence, and it has continued to be that since then.
So otherwise, YWs may focus on a different area?
They may focus on health and fitness, they may focus on job training, they may focus on after-school care or youth programs, all of which are important aspects of empowering women to be strong and independent. Women need to be healthy, they need to have child care to go to work, they need work skills. A lot of YWCAs do domestic violence. Nationally, we're actually the largest provider of domestic violence services.
And Jen, so it's left up to you. It's not mandated from the powers to be up top.
Correct, as long as we are mission focused in that area.
So have you added any new programs or services in the efforts of the Y in combating domestic violence?
We have. Of course, we continue with our continued services, 24-hour hotline, emergency shelter, community housing, counseling, children's programs. But in the past year and a half, we've added a workforce development program called STEP. It stands for Skills Training and Empowerment Program. And we are working to address job training for women. And what's unique about the STEP program is it's workforce development, but it's within a context of safety, which is very important for women who've experienced domestic violence. They can take workshops. We have computer skills classes. We have resume writing, interviewing skills. It's a variety of programs, both individualized as well as group classes. And what I'd like to mention is women do not have to be an existing client of the YWCA. You know, Mayor, as I believe you're aware, 1 in 4 women in her lifetime will be a victim of domestic violence. So many women may be in need of these services and don't really realize that this would be a category they'd fall into. They're welcome to call and inquire about these services. We also utilize community volunteers as mentors. And we especially need volunteers with computer skills and very specific work skills. And the last thing our coordinator spoke to...
And that work, by the way, before you do that, is highly confidential, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything we do, that's where it's in the context of safety. Everything that we do is confidential. Even with the computers, the women have their own thumb drive, so they're not saving information to the cloud where someone might access it. They're saving it on an instrument that they have control of. And then we're also looking for employment opportunities and internship opportunities in the community, because many women really want to work, they're ready to work, but as you know, jobs are just very hard to find.
Well, we actually hired one many years ago, came through your system, which is really something that is important for governments to do as well.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So since 1978, when it was the mission of the Y, technology has changed drastically. What have you seen change in the needs that families require, especially in the years that you've been there?
Mm-hmm. I would say certainly technology, as it's advanced, has created new issues around safety for the families we serve. Facebook, for example, Facebook can pick up your location very easily. So
do you teach the women that, hey, you're going through this struggle now, getting on Facebook or Twitter, somebody that you don't want to know where you are, they can find you?
Absolutely. We do a lot around technology safety with cell phones, you know, using mobile devices. We have a program called Hopeline with Verizon, where if someone can't use their cell phone because their abuser may be tracking it, we can use recycled cell phones. We try to make the whole community aware of that. And we can give a woman a used cell phone. It can be programmed to have a certain number of minutes on it, or just to call 911 if she can't use her own cell phone.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's important.
Absolutely.
And I don't think the average person is not thinking of that.
Right.
Protection, device,
Absolutely.
and security. So
I was just going to add that other things that we've seen emerging, certainly workplace, you know, issues, jobs. Child care is a huge, huge issue. Women can't get jobs if they don't have child care.
How do you respond to these needs? Especially child care, it's tough.
Well, we're talking about what we can do in that area. We have volunteers who provide child care, but we're actually having some internal conversations about, could this be something we train some of the women we serve to become child care providers? We're exploring, this is way out there, you know, could we develop a co-op child care program? Really trying to meet the needs of the women that we serve. You know, the STEP program was a first step in addressing workforce issues. We have a wonderful partnership with Access for Affordable Housing, because that's the other big need that women have, is, you know, a safe and affordable place to live, not different than most of us. And so we're just brainstorming.
How do people know to call you? How do they know?
We
It's
have
not like you go out there and advertise, say, if you have domestic violence, call us, but you do, but still, is it word of mouth?
a lot of it is word of mouth. We have hotline cards in police stations,
Oh, we do, okay.
houses of worship. Everywhere we go, we try to leave that number. It's on our website. We're part of the New Jersey Domestic Violence Hotline and connected with the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So someone can, not having any clue, can call that number, which is an 800 number, and they'll, if they're in Union County, they'll give us our hotline number.
They'd be referred to you?
Yes.
Okay. So does the entire community get involved in some of these issues at the Y?
We try to get everyone involved. We have a lot of volunteers. Our next volunteer training cycle is starting next week, in fact. Of course, we like to involve people as supporters and donors. A lot of groups do donation drives for us. Later today, I'll be hopefully receiving a donation of school supplies and backpacks, because we have, at this point, I think we have about 60 families at this point in time in our services, and kids need back to school supplies. And I believe we'll be participating in the Elizabeth Back to School backpack giveaway.
And I always like to ask this question, Jen, and you're always so good at answering it. And I think it's important to say it again. Oftentimes people don't know what to do if a family member or a friend appears to be a victim of domestic violence. And I use the word appears because you really don't know.
Absolutely.
They're not confiding in you. And so if someone thinks that, what do they do? Who do they call? Do I pick up the phone and call you, or do I try to encourage the person to go see you or somebody? How does that happen?
The best way is to let that person know that you believe them. You know, you can inquire, you know, are you okay? You know, I noticed that you have a bruise or you seem fearful. And if the person does choose to share, let them know you believe them, support them, be an ear for them, be a place they can go to for help. Don't necessarily tell them that it's important that they leave. A lot of times women won't leave an abusive situation. It's, number one, it's the most dangerous time for a woman when she tries to leave. And then women don't leave for a variety of reasons. You know, they have a home, they love the person who's abusing them, they may have no financial resources. So sometimes the best support is just, I believe you, I'm here to help you, talk to me, let me know what I can do to help you.
And when your agency gets involved, would you work with them on leaving?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If someone is ready to, wants to leave, we work with them to prepare a safe way to leave, and to be ready to do that.
Because it's not easy to just...
It's not easy, and it's, you know, some people choose to stay, and that's okay. We'll help them then remain safe in that relationship.
So you also have some events coming up in October during Domestic Awareness Month. Tell us about some of those events.
We do. The cocktail reception, of course, is a fundraiser, and then our second big event is an awareness event called Empty Place at the Table. It will be October 20th at Kane University. We have art displays, place settings that are in memory of people who've lost their lives to domestic violence, and then in the evening we have a program consisting of monologues that are stories written by the families that we serve. It's a very moving program. The public is invited.
Well, I've been there a couple of those times, and I've heard some of those stories. They are extremely moving. I think more people need to listen to those stories to see what some of these women go through.
Absolutely.
Even people who have never had domestic violence in their life, they need to understand this issue.
I read the first story that one of our clients wrote in preparation, and I was standing in my home crying as I read the story and thinking what a brave woman to do what she did. And people who come to Empty Place at the Table will see that acted out.
Jen, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show.
Thank you very much.
But also all the work that you do for women who have had difficult issues regarding domestic violence in their lives.
Thank you very much.
For Jan Lillian, please stay with us after these messages. I'll be back talking about the Women's Scholarship Fund here in the city of Elizabeth.
We're an